This gyro, flatbread included, was made on that campfire. We're going to show you how campfire cooking is done on Bobby's Kitchen. All right guys, yes, we are back inside because I'm going to show you the prep steps that we do ahead of time, and then we'll take everything with us to our campsite, which is going to be my backyard today for filming. But these are the prep steps we do inside to make it much easier when we get to the campsite. We'll pre-assemble some things. They'll go right into our cooler, just like you would do with hamburgers and hot dogs, and it's going to be a really easy but amazing camp meal. So let's start out with our lavash. Our lavash is our bread. We're going to make it over the campfire, which is so much fun and so tasty. It's basically similar to a pita. I think a little bit better than a pita, and it works really well over a campfire. Super easy to make. We have a little bit of bread flour here. You want bread flour because it's high protein, and you want to stretch this very thin. And then it's just yeast, sugar, salt, water. We are going to use a lot of yeast today because we want this to be a quick rising bread. The easiest leavened bread you'll ever make. It takes about 45 minutes total, which almost never happens with leavened bread, and it just rolls out so easy. It's super forgiving, really great to make around the campfire. We got a little bit of sugar. I mix it with my yeast just to get that yeast active and going. Really gives it something to feed on. Get that yeast hydrated real quick, and then we will mix our salt with our flour. Always good to coat the salt in flour first so it doesn't directly contact your yeast. Just keeps the yeast from getting killed and keeps it super active. Now, yeast, sugar, and water go right into the bowl. Nothing fancy here. Real simple process. So simple you could actually do this at the campsite if you wanted to bring all your ingredients, but I find it's easiest just to mix it up at home. You pop it in the fridge, and then when you're ready to go, you move it to your cooler and you take it to the campsite. Just gonna stir this till we get a shaggy dough. Now I knead it in the bowl till I've picked up all my flour. Then I like to just go right on the counter. Easier to knead on the counter. About 3 to 5 minute knead, just till things get smooth. Then we're gonna give it a short rest, and then we will make our dough balls. They'll go into containers and they'll be ready to go. This is a really nice dough. It's so easy to work with. It's not too sticky, not too wet. It rises super fast and easy. It rolls out really easy. Just a great, versatile little camp dough. And this is feeling good. That was about 3 or 4 minutes of mixing, and you can see dough's pretty smooth now, pretty elastic. We're just gonna pop it on the counter, cover it up for 15 minutes to let it develop, and then we'll divide it up and we'll be ready to go. It's been 15 minutes. Let's see where we're at. Looking nice. You're already gonna start to see a little bit of a rise. It's a quick rising dough. We'll give it just like a 1 more minute or 30-second more knead to smooth everything out completely. Just knock any excess air out before we divide it. This is also a great weeknight bread, guys. It only takes 30 minutes to rise, which means if you're making something like a curry, like our awesome tikka masala recipe, you can throw this dough together before you start. By the time your curry is simmering, this dough will be risen, and you don't have to make it over a campfire. You just slap it in a preheated cast iron pan, 2 minutes per side, and you've got fresh flatbread to go with your curry. So awesome thing to have in your arsenal. I make it all the time. All right, that is looking good and smooth. We are gonna divide this into 6 equal balls. I'm not gonna weigh it. Roughly equal is fine. So I cut it in half, and then this has to be thirds. We're gonna ball each of these up. I know they look small, but they actually roll out really thin into a nice sized lavash. 6 lavashes. Is it lavashes? Is it lavash? I don't know the plural. Maybe someone can enlighten me in the comments. So just rolling them into a tight ball each. You can see I'm not even using any extra flour right now. It's just a really easy dough to work with. 6 balls of dough. You can put these in any airtight container. I like these little quart containers. You can even use a zip top bag if that's all you have. Just make sure whatever container you use, you spray it with a little cooking spray so they don't stick. So, I mean, technically if you had one big Tupperware and you wanted to put them all in there, you could. The only problem is if they slide around in your cooler and they come together, they're all gonna stick together. You could cut them all back up at the campsite and reball them if you want, but I don't like to mess with that. That's why I go with separate containers. I'm gonna pop them into my fridge for now. It depends if you're doing it right before, you can go right into your cooler. You can do this up to 3 days before. So if you do it a few days before, pop them in your fridge, move them to your cooler when you're ready to go. Just make sure you take them out of the cooler to warm up about an hour before they're ready to be cooked. So let's get to the crux of the matter, guys, the meat. You've probably seen gyros at a gyro shop where you have that big spinning pillar of meat. It's beautiful, it is delicious. We're obviously not gonna have a big spinning pillar at home or at a campsite, so how are we gonna do this? We are gonna do it what they call kafta style, which is using ground meat with the same seasonings that would be on that big pillared stack. We're gonna make them into patties that get grilled over the campfire, and then we're gonna slice those patties really thin, so it's like when they shave the meat off of that spinning pillar, and it comes out exactly the same. You really wouldn't know the difference. Super delicious. So we are starting with 2 pounds of ground lamb. Some people like to do half beef and half lamb because they're a little bit afraid of the strength of the lamb. You really don't have to worry about that with this recipe. These seasonings, these herbs, and the campfire smoke, they really bring that lamb together. When I was testing this recipe, I gave it to some friends, and a few of them who didn't normally eat lamb were like, I can't believe this is lamb, I love it. So don't worry about that. I like to go 100% lamb, but you can cut it half and half if you want. So we got that. We have a nice spice mix here. We've got granulated garlic, granulated onion, salt, pepper, cumin, coriander, and allspice. Those are your basic spice mixes for a gyro. Of course, every chef does it a little different. That's mine. I think this comes out great. And then to me, fresh herbs are so key in this. Yeah, you could use dried, you can get away with it, but there's something about that freshness coming through with that campfire smoke that's so good. So today we have some fresh oregano and some fresh mint. Bobby, that's not mint, that's parsley. That's correct. My wife is allergic to mint, so I'll be using parsley, but you should use mint because it is the best. We are gonna break this down.
Thanks, baby.
We're gonna break this down. I will be using, for authenticity's sake, my favorite camp knife today. I'm gonna do the whole cook with this knife. This is the White River Firecraft. Trying not to get a glare on that. Firecraft, this is the 7-inch model. My favorite camp knife, guys. I'm not doing an advertisement for them. I'm just letting you know the equipment that I use in case you want to use the same thing. Great steel, amazing heat treat. You can chop through firewood all day with this, come back and do kitchen, like fine kitchen work, and still have an amazing edge. Best camp knife I've ever had. I love it. And if you noticed, it's even kind of the shape of a chef's knife, which allows you to do great culinary work on the campsite. So that's the White River Firecraft, and that's what we're going to use today. Let's get these herbs broken down. So you might notice the one thing about a camp knife that's different than a chef knife is a camp knife has this little lip called a ricasso. That will make it so that if you try to rock chop on herbs, hear that? It's hitting the cutting board. So the one thing that we have to do to use this as a chef's knife just for rock chopping, just for herb chopping, is we're just gonna lean that ricasso off the board while we chop so that it doesn't impact and we can go through our herbs. Herbs are in. Now all of our seasonings, and we're just gonna knead this till it's all mixed together. One thing about this, because we're slicing it thin at the end, you don't really have to worry about over kneading your meat. Sometimes if you over knead, it'll get a little tough if you're eating it as a patty, but sliced thin, you're not gonna notice the difference. And a little kneading will even help hold everything together. And that is looking good, nice and mixed. I like to divide this. It doesn't really matter, but I find dividing it into about 6 patties just helps them be a good size to cook evenly. In the end, it's gonna be sliced, so it all comes together the same way. But leave a little thickness to your patty. It's not a smash burger. You want it to be nice and juicy when you slice into it. And I find a little bit of like an oblong shape so that when you slice it, you have long strips. It just works out really nice. Try to make sure they're nice and compact so you don't have cracks in them, so your meat doesn't fall apart when you slice it. 1/4 inch thick, a little more. Not much to it. Just like you're throwing together some burgers for the grill, get a lid on these guys. This too can be done up to 3 days in advance. You pop it in your fridge, move it to your cooler when you're ready to go. Simple as that. One more thing to prep, our white sauce, and we'll be ready to camp. The white sauce. Now, if your bread is like your awesome foundation and the meat is obviously the heart of the dish, the white sauce is just what puts it over the top and makes a good gyro great. It's very easy to make. You're just mixing together a few ingredients, but dialing it in perfect is really hard. Very few people have a perfect one. Mine is kind of like this ultimate hybrid between a tzatziki, which is like a yogurt and cucumber and dill sauce, with the halal cart style white sauce that you get on the streets of New York. It's awesome the way that they come together. This hybrid of the two, I'm convinced, is the perfect white sauce. I have served it to many a New Yorker, many a gyro lover, many a halal cart lover, and they all think that it's the perfect white sauce. So let's get into it. We have a mixture of mayonnaise and some 5% Greek yogurt, fresh garlic, a little bit of distilled white vinegar, salt and sugar. Then we're gonna add some cucumber and some fresh minced dill. Dill is really where it's at in this. That fresh dill brings such a freshness to it. I love it. Let's get these cucumbers broken down. Fine work, but we're still using our camp knife. We want to de-seed them because the seeds are all water and we don't want our sauce to become watery. So we just split it in half. So use the tip of your spoon to scrape those seeds out. Now I like a fine mince on my cucumber for this. It just gives a nice mouthfeel. So we'll start by cutting some thin strips. Even though I cut thin strips, they're still kind of wide. So I lay them flat and then just cut through again. And then we can turn that all 90 degrees and finish our chop. You can see a really fine, nice mince that we have, even with something that would be considered a bulky camp knife. Cucumbers in, let's go in with our yogurt. Mayonnaise, let's use the real stuff, none of that Miracle Whip. Hellmann's is great, Mike's Amazing is great, Duke's is great, a lot of good options. Salt and sugar, a little bit of distilled white vinegar. I do recommend distilled white here. It has a particular flavor that is great in this. That's the chopped dill we were talking about, beautiful freshness. And for my fresh garlic, I like to microplane it here so it's really fine. You can mince it with a knife, but if you have one of these microplane graters, see they're really fine. You can just take your garlic, plane it right in, and you get a really fine texture that spreads evenly through the sauce. Give it a mix. Give it a little taste, make sure our seasonings are right. Spot on. A little bit of salt, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of sour from the yogurt and the vinegar, and then the richness of the mayonnaise. Freshness of dill and cucumber comes blasting through. It's everything you want in a white sauce. This really is the best version in my opinion. Also, the garlic's great in here. Garlic is wonderful on gyros, and we did an episode where we made a garlic sauce, an emulsified garlic sauce called Toom that goes so well on gyros, so I will link to that at the end of this recipe. If you want to throw together some Toom, bring it with you. It's a great addition to your tzatziki or your white sauce, whatever you want, but give that Toom a try. Pop a lid on this, right in the fridge. It'll last a week. You can do it days ahead of time. Move it to your cooler when you're ready to go. We have everything prepped out now, guys. We've got our meat, we've got our dough. It's had a chance to rise, and we have our sauce. We're gonna get everything set up outside like it's just like we're at a campsite. We're gonna cook over a hardwood fire, which is my favorite way to cook. It gives you wonderful, smoky, oaky flavor. It's gonna bring the best out of this lamb. It's gonna make your flatbreads a little bit smoky and a little bit charred, and it's just gonna be the best camp meal you could think of. I love hot dogs, I love hamburgers, but this will blow your mind how good it is, and you won't be able to believe you did it while camping. All right guys, here we are in my backyard. I didn't want to haul all the camera equipment to a campsite, but this is just as good. We got our fire going over here. I'm sure you can hear all the sounds of Brooklyn in the summer. I hope you enjoy my neighbors' music and everything. Before we get started, I'm just gonna go over some equipment and things real quick. Now we have our fire going. I'm using oak today. It's my favorite cooking wood for all around everything that I do. It's got wonderful flavor. It throws great heat. It has long-lasting coals. I use it for searing like we're gonna do today. I use it in my offset smoker for ribs and brisket, and I also use it in my pizza oven. So if you can only pick one wood, go with oak, but any hardwood will do for cooking. Whenever you're gonna be cooking over an open fire, I always love to bring these fire gloves with me camping. They just make it so much easier to manipulate things without burning yourself. Of course, some sort of spatula, always a good idea. Long tongs, see how long these are? Keep your hands back away from the heat, but you can still manipulate things. Of course, you have to have a good beer. Did you guys know that the Kirkland Helles style lager is actually brewed by Deschutes Brewery in Oregon, and it's awesome. So don't sleep on this. Great price, great beer. I already told you about my trusty White River knife. And one last thing, these Thermacell mosquito repellents. You guys, these are the best mosquito repellents you can get for camping or around your backyard. We get mosquitoes here. You put them on these Coleman camp stove butane things. They'll last for days, and they're the only thing that really keeps mosquitoes away better than any other repellent, so I highly recommend that. Our fire is still burning down, still too much flame to cook over. We're gonna let it burn down till we have a really nice bed of coals with just a little flame. I always bring some sort of grate with me to cook on. This guy's pretty big, and I like that. It gives me a lot of room to work. I can prop it up on logs, or in the case with my fire pit, I can use the bricks, and then I can use logs or bricks to raise or lower this, move it around as needed, and do all of my cooking, because wood-fired cooking, you guys, it's an art, it's a craft. It's not like using a stove where everything is even. Your fire is never gonna be perfectly even. There's gonna be hot spots and cool spots, and you need to learn to manipulate that. All right, our fire is looking great. We're about ready to go. We're gonna start with our lavash. One thing when you're making lavash, it's always a good idea to have a covered container with a towel in it. The reason for that is after they're finished cooking, they all go in with the cover on. The steam will soften them and make them pliable, and the towel will keep any condensation from making them damp. No flour down initially. The stickiness actually helps the dough roll out. So no flour underneath for the time being. Bring a little container of flour so you can flour the top so it won't stick. Now you need a rolling pin, but you don't have to bring one with you camping because you always got a trusty beer bottle around. We're gonna use this as our rolling pin today. Start from the middle and just roll it out. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Oblong is fine. Rolling over the edges to get them thin. Center outwards to keep everything even. And get it as thin as you can. You want these to be very thin. They're gonna puff up over the fire. So don't be afraid to thin them out. You should be able to see light coming through them when you pick them up. Let's see, that is looking pretty good. You're just gonna grab the edge and peel it up right off your board. And that is about what you're looking for. Hopefully you can see that. Nice, thin piece of dough. Now you can do multiple at a time, but I'm gonna start with one just to show you guys the initial one. Let me get my grate on the fire and we'll cook this one off and then we'll do the rest. So we're just gonna slap it on, 30 seconds to a minute. You'll start to see it bubbling up. Woo, happens quick, guys. Beautiful thin dough. You can see there's always hot spots and cooler spots, so I kind of move the bread around, manipulate it, checking both sides, of course. That is beautiful. As we can see, get it in here. Wonderful, smoky, bubbly, slightly charred lavash. Let's move on to the rest. Again, no flour underneath, just some flour on top. P.S. If your beer is cold, guys, make sure there's no condensation. Not many people are going to be making full-on fresh flatbread gyros on their campfire. Everybody at the campsite's going to be coming over to you looking to get one of these. Nice and thin, peel it up, looking good. I'm going to do one more. All right, let's get these on the fire. Lavash is cooked. Let's get on with our meat. We can manipulate our grate up and down depending on adding bricks, or if you are out at a campsite, you could add logs or whatever. Move your meat around, manipulate those hot spots. It's gonna be about 4 to 5 minutes per side. We're gonna get a nice char on them, leave them juicy in the center. I like them just a touch of pink left in the center, but you can cook them as much as you like. You do wanna leave them juicy though. Hope you guys can see those beautiful red coals that we get from that lovely oak. Just makes so much flavor, smokiness, wonderful sear. Now that we've got a good sear, I'm gonna back it off a little bit. So I'm gonna bring this grate up a little bit higher. You can see where these fire gloves come in handy. A little bit of distance between the heat so that these can finish on the inside without burning on the outside. Cheers. Now you guys might see me poking at things like steaks and burgers to check their doneness. You can always use a probe thermometer if you want, but a great thing that we do in the restaurant world is use this little part of your, right below your thumb, the meaty part here. When your hand is fully open, that is about how it is when it's rare, the resistance you get. Now as it cooks, you'll get more resistance. So you touch these two fingers together, that's medium rare. These two fingers is medium. These two, that's medium well, and then when you touch your pinky, it gets so tight that that's how it'll feel when it's well done. So if you want to test your meat and know how far along it is, for this I go medium well. So that's the ring finger, and it's pretty firm, but not hard. I might even stop at my middle finger and go medium on this, depending. Maybe medium plus, just a little bit over. Like I said, I like just a spot, just a little breath of pink in the center of mine. Our meat is done, guys. It's looking seared and beautiful. It smells so delicious. Just that scent of seared lamb is, with all those spices, it's one of the best things. We are gonna let these cool a little bit before we slice into them because we don't want all the juices to run out, but I do have to prep some veg for our toppings, so let's get into that. Red onion, tomato, and iceberg lettuce, shredded iceberg lettuce. That's the way to go on a gyro, in my opinion. Just keep it simple. Keep it classic. I really like a thinly sliced red onion. When you're gonna do a thin slice, what you wanna do is remove the core first. So we're gonna just cut that core part off because we don't want it holding everything together. And then we're gonna slice it with the grain. So the grain runs this way, and that's the way we're gonna slice. Just keeping it nice and thin. Peeling back thin layers. Almost translucent, see that? And that is with a camp knife, a thick for chopping camp knife. But I told you this White River, it's got a wonderful edge. It works great for kitchen tasks. Good amount of onion. We've only got 6. The real test of a knife edge, a ripe tomato, right guys? I like to keep my tomatoes a little thicker so they don't get mushy. Let's shred some iceberg. Cut a piece off of here, and we'll just chop right through. Nice shredded lettuce. All right, our meat has had a chance to cool, so let's get that sliced up. You guys might be able to see I've restocked the fire. So we're not done. We are gonna have, my wife and I are gonna have some s'mores after this. She told me about this new, what did you call that s'more?
Christmas crack s'more.
She made these Christmas crack s'mores over the fire yesterday, and they were the greatest s'more I've ever had in my life. I don't know what she put in them, but I was like, you should be the chef now. So I'm getting this recipe. You guys, let me know in the comments if you wanted Christmas crack s'mores. I don't know what that is. All I know, it tasted amazing. We're gonna do those. We'll do those in another episode. All right, let's carve some meat. So I like to go long ways, so we have long, thin strips. I mean, that is so juicy. If I squeeze it, look, you can just see the juice coming out of there. I mean, that is a beautiful piece of meat. All right, fine, chef taste. Little dog taste. It's right there. You guys, it's perfect. The garlic, the spices, the fresh herbs, the smokiness from that hardwood campfire, the sear on the outside, it doesn't get any better. It's better than a gyro shop because it's hardwood smoked. Let's get to the fun part, guys. It is time to build a gyro. Oh, this bread is nice and steamy. Look at that. I mean, look at that beautifully bubbly, charred, pliable flatbread. It's gonna be perfect for making a gyro. I chose the most oddly shaped continent of Africa looking one, but that's fine. That's rustic, baby. That's what we're doing, campfire cooking. Get some of that famous white sauce on there. I have to come up with a name for this besides just white sauce, but whatever. Pile on some of our gyro meat, some onions, tomatoes, a little bit of lettuce. I'm probably overstuffing it. That's okay. Campfire gyros. You made it all yourself, guys, from scratch. From the meat mix to the bread, all cooked over the campfire. It wasn't that hard. You can do this. I'm doing it in my backyard. You can do this on a campsite. Let's give it a try. Get in here. There's nothing like it, guys. There is nothing like campfire cooking. Hardwood, oak sear, smoky flavor. You got the campfire going behind you. You got a beer in your hand. I mean, that gyro is spectacular. The bread is perfect. It's fresh, it's crispy on the outside, it's pliable on the inside. That white sauce hits on all the notes. It's creamy, it's got a little tang, it's got freshness. There's herbs, there's fresh veggies. I mean, the meat is so juicy. I showed you guys on camera the juice that was just pouring out of that meat. There's nothing like it. It's better than any gyro you could get from a store. I really think it is. I mean, that's campfire cooking at its finest. Nobody else at the campsite. Everybody's making hot dogs, they're making hamburgers. You're cooking up gyros in fresh bread. You're doing better than anybody. You're winning life, you're winning camping. There it is, guys. It's as simple as that. All of the steps and measurements are below, as always, as for every recipe. Thank you for tuning in to our first campfire cooking episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you'd like more of these. I love cooking outside, so let me know if you want to see more campfire cooking, if you want to see some offset smoking with ribs and brisket, if you want to see wood-fired pizza oven, all that stuff. Summer is upon us, so let's get it done. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Bobby's Kitchen.